One of the most interesting ones that shows very broad spectrum activity was actually first identified and brought to our attention by Healthcare Research Incorporated and Dr. Hongwen Lee. This is the drug niclosamide and its metabolite tizoxanide. And that is a single agent, is in phase 3 testing right now for influenza. So nitazoxanide and tizoxanide are very interesting compound candidates. And we've replicated the data that was discovered initially at HRI and now have extended it to other viruses and other metabolites. So that's one key compound. Another compound that we find very interesting is piperacin, which is one of the anti-malarials. It's an interesting compound that was developed in the 60s. It's a Chinese compound, synthetic, and was used by the North Vietnamese in Vietnam to control malaria. It was actually a better drug than the one that the Americans had, which was mefloquine. So it turns out that piperacin has good activity. Triclobendazole is a liver drug, a flucicide. It's used for treating liver flukes. Like nitazoxanide, it's very, very safe. So it can be dosed at high levels. And we find that the triclobendazole primary compound has significant activity, but even more activity is its initial metabolite, triclobendazole sulfoxide. So those are also interesting compounds. Ivermectin, to our surprise, ivermectin had been in the literature as having significant activity against yellow fever. We've replicated that. We find that it's highly, highly active against yellow fever, less so against Zika. The binding site in the helicase that the ivermectin drops into with yellow fever is slightly different in Zika. It's larger and more open in Zika. So ivermectin alone doesn't work as well for Zika as it works for yellow fever. But we've then found that, like in this African malaria study, the combination of piperacin, or DHA piperacin, and ivermectin also shows exceptional activity in cell culture for yellow fever and very good activity for Zika. So those are some of the main compounds. There are others. There's another compound that is a antimicrobial that's used for bladder infections, and we like that compound because it has almost complete clearance through the kidneys, and we know that the kidney and urinary tract is involved not only in Zika but in West Nile. In the case of West Nile, the distal renal tubules get infected, and people that recover from West Nile have a delayed mortality due to chronic kidney disease. We're a little bit concerned that that might turn out to be the case with Zika, that there may be a delayed morbidity and mortality if Zika is infecting the kidney in a similar way to how West Nile is infecting the kidney.